By the end of this class, you'll have a simple plan to manage your studies, hobbies, and rest. Let's learn how to be smart with time, because the students who manage time to the class. Welcome, students. Lecture 9 is here, and today we're talking about time management, study plus play balance. Ready? Let's begin. Chapter 9. Getting internal alignment right. Productivity isn't the result of better tools. Productivity happens as a result of greater alignment. Productivity isn't about doing more. Productivity is about becoming more congruent with what you believe, your vision, and your core values. This chapter focuses on bridging the gap that exists between your essence and your life. Learn how to put an end to internal conflict, cultivate clarity, and become aligned with your true intention. And because momentum comes easily when you align with your true intention, success follows naturally. 9.1 The power of alignment comes from within. There is one source of power that doesn't ever run out. It does not rely on caffeine, motivation, and any external stimuli. It flows underneath all the noise of our day-to-day lives. This power is called alignment. It means when what we think, value, and strive for is consistent inside of us. We no longer have to force ourselves to do anything because we are no longer fighting ourselves. This creates internal consistency. And whenever this happens, our productivity becomes easy, our decision-making clear, and the results compound without burnout. Many people lead a life of contradiction. They pursue objectives that do not really resonate with them. They find themselves working in an environment that is in opposition to their principles. They speak a certain language and behave in a totally different manner. This kind of internal inconsistency saps them of energy. It manifests itself in the form of procrastination, anxiety, tiredness, or confusion. At such times, you do not require any additional motivation. What you require is realignment. Everything will shift once you find alignment. It is not just about feeling better, but performing better. You regain energy that was wasted on doubt and second-guessing. You create with purpose. You show up with intention. Alignment is not a want. Alignment is your most sustainable form of energy. And once you find it, you will never live any other way again. 9.2% Know what you really value, not what you were taught to chase. One of the greatest sources of inner conflict is chasing goals that don't actually belong to you. So many people spend years, sometimes decades, working tirelessly to achieve something that was never their dream in the first place. It was handed down by society, by family, by culture, or by fear. And even when they reach that destination, they feel empty. Why? Because they confused success with alignment. They confused validation with value. The first thing you need is an understanding of what you really believe, what isn't just a facade, what isn't trying to impress anyone, but what is really right for you. That takes strength, that takes integrity, and it takes the ability to challenge all the things you've been told matter. Are you creating a life based on what you want, or what other people expect? Now that you know your values, decisions become easy. You have found significance in your intentions. Gone are the days when you sought fulfillment from achieving things that don't make you happy. At this point, you can start making your life your own, because alignment comes from the truth, and the truth begins with clarity. 9.3 Close the gap between intention and behavior. Most people don't suffer from a lack of good intentions. They want to be focused. They want to be disciplined. They want to live with purpose. But between their intention and their behavior lies a gap, a disconnect between what they say they want and what they actually do. And until that gap is closed, they will feel frustrated, fragmented, and unfulfilled. The key to lasting transformation is not setting better goals, it's closing that gap. The alignment process requires congruence. It is not sufficient to say, "I value health," and yet fail to take care of one's sleep, nutrition, and movement practices on a consistent basis. Similarly, saying, "I value relationships," but being too distracted to engage with others means that every time the behavior does not align with the value, the individual loses some level of self-trust, which is emotional and mental. However, once you start to bridge that gap even a little bit, then you can start to restore trust. Then you are making decisions in line with your integrity. The result is significant. You get more energy, you get clarity, and you become stronger because you are no longer living a split life. Integrity is not perfection, it is integration. 9.4 Clarity within helps us tune out the outside noise. The outside world is noisy. Everyone has an opinion. Everything has a different standard. Everyone you follow has something to compare against. But without clarity, the noise can be too much. You try to keep up with everything, meet everyone's expectations, and be all those things people call you. But in doing so, you aren't finding peace, because peace does not come from doing more, but from being clear on what really matters. With clarity within yourself, the external distractions lose their hold on you. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You do not fall for every new trend coming your way. You do not compare your progress to someone else's best moments captured on Instagram. Instead, you function out of conviction and with purposefulness and response. Clarity is not something you decide on once. It is an ongoing practice. It is asking, what is important right now? And having the guts to make sure that your actions align with what you are saying. With a strong internal compass, you do not have to seek external approval. You yourself become your rock in an otherwise chaotic environment. 9.5 Decline with confidence rather than shame. Each time you accept something that goes against who you are essentially declining something sacred. The sacred aspect may be your intention, your sense of peace, your health, or your future. Most individuals do not understand the real impact of accepting until it is too late. They fill up their schedule with activities that drain their spirit and their body with responsibilities that do not align with their values. And underneath that, there is a silent anger at themselves for having declined the opportunity. Alignment requires boundaries. It requires the ability to say no firmly without any feeling of guilt. Without any fear, just with clarity of mind. There is no need to explain your no to those who do not go in line with your path. Your time is not a common good. Your life is not a common task. Saying no is not a selfish thing. It is necessary for making space for something vital for achieving your goals and realizing your vision. Politeness does not necessarily imply your inability to be tough at some point. There is no need to apologize for not being able to find the time for everyone. Boundaries will help you in reaching an alignment. The more often you reject noises, the firmer will be your alignment. Emotional indicators versus emotional monarchs. The thing is, emotions are very real, just not monarchs. Your emotions demand attention from you, but there is no need to submit to them. It seems like too many people confuse being emotionally real with being emotionally in charge of things. The truth is, there is absolutely nothing wrong with feeling frustrated, tired, or stressed. This does not mean, however, that you should run your life from this position. emotional indicators versus emotional monarchs. The thing is, emotions are very real, just not monarchs. Your emotions demand attention from you, but there is no need to submit to them. It seems like too many people confuse being emotionally real with being emotionally in charge of things. The truth is, there is absolutely nothing wrong with feeling frustrated, tired, or stressed. This does not mean, however, that you should run your life from this position. This aligned individual does not suppress their feelings, but rather allows their feelings to steer them. They stop and think before they act. They give themselves room to reflect. They act from wisdom rather than impulse. In that way, they navigate themselves away from emotional turmoil to emotional alignment. This is not being cold, this is being conscious. 9.7% you can't be aligned and people-pleasing. One of the greatest threats to internal alignment is the addiction to external approval. The people-pleaser wants everyone happy, even if it means sacrificing their own clarity, their own peace, or their own truth. But here's the hard truth: you cannot be deeply aligned with yourself and chronically afraid of disappointing others. You will have to choose. You will either betray your values to please the crowd, or you will honor your truth and risk disapproval. Alignment requires loyalty to your purpose, not popularity. It means you care more about staying true to your direction than managing other people's perception. This doesn't mean being harsh. It means being honest. It means recognizing that people-pleasing is often a form of manipulation. It's trying to control how others feel by abandoning what's real. And over time, that erodes your confidence. You forget what your own voice sounds like. It is possible to love without having to be dependent on someone else's approval. It is also possible to be compassionate without giving oneself up. You can practice empathy without softening your sharpness. But once you stop trying to win applause, you begin to act in accordance with what you really are. 9.8 Alignment needs reflection, not just action. Action is very strong, however. Without reflection, it can be misdirected. The majority of individuals never take time out to ponder some important questions. They keep themselves busy and constantly active, but this does not necessarily mean that they are on the right path. One cannot gain alignment from the act of being active alone. Rather, it requires moments of stillness and silence when one asks himself/herself whether she is on the right track. Alignment is the reflection of reflection. This will enable you to notice minor misalignment before it results into huge regret. This is how one learns from mistakes. This is the way that makes the deviation a learning experience. Reflection does not require a few hours from your schedule. A few minutes is all it takes. Just a piece of paper, a query, and a peaceful walk are all that are required for reflection to work its magic. The self-leader is not only fast, but takes the long break to reflect on his/her why. The self-leader works on his/her how. The self-leader works on realigning his/her now. And through all this, she does not just become efficient, she becomes effective. Reflective practice is not wasting time but gaining wisdom. 9.9% Alignment equals peace in action. What do you think occurs when there is alignment between your inner and outer worlds? The answer is very simple: peace. Not necessarily the peace that occurs when everything is going smoothly and nothing much is expected of you, but the kind that arises because things are in congruence with one another. In other words, there is no more struggle going on within yourself. You are not denying any part of yourself. Such peace does not imply everything is always perfect. Instead, The peace implies that although one might be having difficulty, he or she is sure of the right direction to take. One can cope with difficulties without feeling insecure, since they are not doubting their direction. It offers the individual inner security that whispers, "I am who I am, this is my path." And in living out of this space, you experience purpose in your work, authenticity in your connections, holiness in your time. You will find yourself designing a life around your true essence. You no longer spend time trying to fulfill another's idea of success, but rather you create your own. Alignment isn't only performance, it's peace in action. And it is one of the best gifts you can give to yourself. 9.1 Bound, you can realign at any moment. No matter how far off track you've wandered, you are never too far gone to realign. That is the beauty of self-leadership. It offers grace, not just grit. You don't need to wait for a new month, a new job, or a major breakthrough to begin again. Realignment can happen in a single moment, a deep breath, a single decision, a return to what you know is true. And the moment you realign, you begin to rebuild momentum. Realignment is an attitude. It is not being content with remaining alienated from your values. It means taking the decision to realign, even when it makes you feel embarrassed doing so. It is recognizing that what you were doing was not the right thing to be doing and making the bold move of aligning again. You will be forgiven for going astray and choosing to go back to where you belong. Let not guilt immobilize you. Let truth get you back on track. The power that you hold lies in your ability to readjust quickly, and the more frequently you do it, the better it gets for you. There is no need for having the answers. All you need is the courage to declare, "I am ready to come back into alignment." 9.11 You rise when you align. Alignment is not only an idea, but also a lifestyle. This means that you will choose to create based on truth, work based on clarity, speak based on your values, and lead from your identity. By ensuring harmony between your internal and your external, your life not only becomes efficient, but also coherent. This means that you will feel whole, energized and at peace, not because life got easier, but because you no longer find yourself at war within. This chapter has shown you that your alignment begins with your values, blossoms in the setting of boundaries, and is sustained by reflection. That peace does not come about in a passive form, but instead is attained as a result of living aligned with who you really are. That your emotions are simply messengers and nothing else. And that whenever you say no to what does not align, you also say yes to the sacred. Being perfect is not a requirement for living aligned, but being true is. And once you start living out of your inner compass, you will stop acting and start becoming. You rise not because you chase after success, but because nothing is more elevated and long-lasting than an aligned life. 9.12 The outside world is a mirror of the inside world. While we seek to solve outside messes through organization, management, or even control of our surroundings, what most people don't understand is the truth that the outside world is only a reflection of our inside world. If your surroundings seem disorganized, it may mean that your mind is disorganized. If your relationships are riddled with disagreements, then it may indicate a conflict within. And if your schedule is packed with engagements that drain you, it could show that you have no clarity of who you are on the inside. This does not imply perfection in life, but perfection in perception. You will no longer act on an insecure basis, rather you will be acting from a place of self-awareness. You will no longer project what you fear, rather, you will own yourself. Inside-out living means creating an identity first and then shaping everything around you with that identity. One cannot control all the things outside oneself. One can, however, control the things that happen within oneself. It is here that one's real power lies. When one's inner world becomes a world of peace, of truth, and of purpose, then it becomes a reflection of the inner strength. Slowly but surely, one's outer world starts to mirror one's inner being. 9.13 defines success for yourself, or the world will do it for you. If you don't define success for yourself, someone else will gladly do it for you. Society will tell you it's about money, titles, followers, or prestige. Social media will tell you it's about aesthetic perfection. Your upbringing may have told you it's about stability, conformity, or sacrifice. But here's the truth. No version of success will feel fulfilling if it's not aligned with your soul. And yet, many people spend their lives climbing a ladder, only to realize too late that it was leaning against the wrong wall. To live an inside-out life, one needs to take time and ask, what is success in my life? Not theoretically, but practically. How would you feel being successful on a daily basis? What type of work gives you meaning? What type of relations mirror your authentic self? What kind of routine respects your energy? These are not indulgent questions, but leadership questions, because when you have an answer, you no longer work for approval, but for fulfillment. There is no single recipe for success. Success is a personal formula, and once you muster enough courage to formulate it yourself, you get your freedom back. You regain control of your life, and you finally start living the way you choose. 9.14 Guard your peace as if it were profit. You would never permit anyone to take money from your account without your consent. However, how many times do you let circumstances talk or people take from your peace without limitations? Peace is one of the most profitable sources of wealth that you can have. Without peace, your success will have no meaning. Without peace, your creativity becomes stunted. Without peace, your focus disappears. However, with peace, your thoughts become clearer, your actions become braver, your life becomes more liberated. That is why being true to yourself involves guarding your peace as if it were profit. This does not mean that one should try to avoid all challenges. It means looking at your life with wisdom. It means saying no to everything that will drain your emotions. It means avoiding all the drama and minimizing all the noise that comes from the digital age. Something demanding your energy doesn't necessarily mean that it deserves it. Peace isn't about passivity, it's about making wise choices. Everything shifts when peace is your norm, not your holiday. You become more compassionate. You become more enlightened. You become precise in your actions. And most importantly, you become whole. Peace like that isn't achieved externally. It's made internally, then guarded with all your might. 9.15 Quit defining your worth by results. If you lead life from the outside in, then your worth depends on everything and anything. It is contingent on results, praise, achievements, and progressions. You are always at the mercy of outcomes, because your worth fluctuates according to your results, accomplishments, and feedback. Self-leadership starts when you decide that your worth is non-negotiable, not up for debate, not contingent on results or recognition or any other factor but your own sense of self. You are more than your latest project. You are more than your last success. You are not your paycheck or your influence or even your audience size. You are more than what your metrics say about you. Living life from the inside out involves working from wholeness, not toward it. When you live from the inside out, you operate from alignment, not for it. If you're sure about yourself, your actions will be bold. If you fail, it doesn't affect you that way. You enjoy your successes, and you don't do it for validation. This is what your self-worth gives you, the freedom and courage to carry on. 9.16 You don't need permission to be who you are. Most people are waiting for validation, waiting for a green light, waiting for someone to say, yes, you're ready. But living from the inside out means realizing you already have permission. You are the author now, the gatekeeper, the green light. You don't have to wait until someone believes in your dreams before embarking on the process of creating them. You don't have to wait for everyone to agree before you begin living according to the principles that align with your dreams. You don't have to win anyone over to your side to justify the journey that you have chosen. The second you grasp this concept, you will become a different person. When you give yourself permission, it means that you are no longer delegating your power. It means that you are no longer watered-down versions of yourself. It means that you do not negotiate yourself to accommodate somebody else's comfort level. Your boldness does not require an explanation, and your authenticity requires no editing. You did not sign up to be part of the scenery. You came here to be alive. 9.17 Inner strength grows in silence. The greatest changes occur in silence. They do not receive any applause or limelight. They do not get coverage on the front pages of newspapers or magazines. They happen silently, within quiet decisions early in the morning hours, during quiet times, when you show up because you have nowhere else to be. When you live from the inside out, it means believing that your inner strength is real even when it isn't yet visible. After all, the most tenacious roots grow beneath the surface. In a world where success is judged by likes and results, you have something far more meaningful growing, a virtue known as resilience. Clarity. Tenacity. These traits can't be bought or bred. They must be grown by way of discomfort. They must be grown in solitude. They must be developed when you choose alignment over acceptance. Silence is not vacuity, it is elegance. This is where the distinction between noise and necessity is made. This is where the stripping away of the filters leaves one in their true form. And from this state you become an authentic leader. There is nothing left to prove about your strength, you just embody it. 9.18 Emotional integrity strengthens inner power. Being authentic from the inside out means more than simply performing. It is about being present and honest with your emotions. The problem is that most of us repress our emotions in the interest of being strong, which means that we have no inner power at all. Real inner power comes through emotional integrity. When you repress your emotions, they don't go away, they infiltrate your choices. They make things murky, subversive, and tiring. When you address them through curiosity, however, you take back control. You aren't allowing your emotions to be your guide anymore. Instead, you are harnessing them for what they are worth. Emotional integrity does not mean that you are run by your emotions. It means that you are in relationship with them. You make room for the sorrow without being bound to it. You embrace the anger without defining yourself by it. Self-leadership includes self-honesty. When you create emotional safety within yourself, you stop needing it so desperately from the outside world. You become your own foundation, your own truth-teller. And that's when you start to lead, not from armor, but from authenticity. 919 Let your life speak the truth. There are many words that are said by people. People speak about their values, wishes, beliefs. But do you really want to know who somebody is? Observe her life. The truth will be reflected through actions. The truth will be seen through schedule. The truth will be felt through energy. It is not a question of judging, but of understanding. When living inside out, you begin to realize, is my life speaking the truth about me? This isn't always an easy question to ask. It might expose where you have been selling out too many times, places where you choose to be liked over being truthful, places where what you do serves the interests of someone else, not yourself. But the unease is holy ground. It is a mirror, not one to shame you, but to see where you are. It is an invitation to return home, to start fresh, to live an authentic life. Your life speaks more loudly than any words you can say. When your life is aligned, there is no need to defend anything. It becomes clear that you are living from a place of truth because of who you are. 9.2 Reconnect with what is already true in you. There's no need for you to become a different person. There's no need to recreate your soul. The fact is that so many people look for transformation in becoming something new, whereas they just need to rediscover something that was in them from their birth, but was forgotten. To live according to the inside-out principle does not imply becoming a different person. It implies rediscovering who you used to be. This clarity is something that is already in place for you. This creativity is something that you carry within yourself. This voice is something that you already have. This voice has not been lost, but rather it has become hidden by fear, clutter, comparison, and the act of hiding who you truly are. The world can label you, confine you, and censor your story, but that does not mean that you must subscribe to their version of the script. You can change the script by being yourself rather than somebody new. And that is the true change, alignment, not addition. 9.21 Internal alignment has external influence. If you live your life from the inside out, you are going to have an impact whether you want it or not. Not because you scream louder, but because you vibrate on a deeper level. Your clarity is felt. Your confidence is felt. It's not what you do that draws people in, it's who you are. It does not make you perfect. It makes you real. The reason why your words will be so powerful is that they will be true. Your presence will make others feel better because there is trust within yourself. Your leadership will become more established, not based on your performance, but based on congruence. You will not lead because of your ability to give answers, but because of your alignment in life. Visibility isn't an issue when you are valuable. Authority is not an issue when you are authentic. You attract by being aligned, not through power. Not only is the effect felt professionally, but also personally. You become a better partner, parent, friend, and creator. Life goes from managing to modeling. 9.22 Summary. Your life is created from the inside out. You need not a better version of yourself, but the truer version of yourself. The living of one's life from the inside out is not just a strategy, but a revolution. It is a rekindling of clarity, of trusting oneself, of the soul. It is what takes place when one does not outsource his worthiness, nor borrows the meaning of success, nor makes himself small to meet the world's expectations. In this chapter you have learned that peace needs protection. You understand that your influence comes from within. You know that your feelings are messages, not commands. You understand that you don't need permission to be who you are. You can establish your own inner power through your alignment with yourself that cannot ever be taken away by anything from without. What we face right now is a challenge that is very clear-cut. yet at the same time extremely deep and meaningful. Let your life speak its own truth. Let your actions serve your purpose. Let your words be guided by your essence. Let your presence say more than just your intentions, because you have to live from the inside out in order to matter. Great job, everyone. Today we learned the secret. Balance. Plan your study time, enjoy your playtime, and don't waste either. Small habits today equal to big success tomorrow. Thanks for being here and paying attention. Have a productive day.